Hello, so we are going to do some line stamping using some black acrylic paint and some scraps of cardboard, and we're going to do it on a large white piece of paper. So the first thing you're going to do with your pencil is write your name and the day you have art, day A, day B, day C. You're going to flip it over, and you can work vertical or horizontal. It's completely up to you. And I'm going to put a variety of different pieces of cardboard so that you can get some different kinds, some different lengths of lines. So this one might be good for a short line. So you're just going to take the cardboard, dip it, and you want to make sure you keep part of it clean so that you can keep your hands clean. Now this is acrylic paint, so it is permanent. So you don't want to get it on your clothes. So you can just take and stamp and make some vertical and horizontal lines like the artist Mondrian. And with a shorter piece of cardboard, you can stamp them together to make a longer line. You could take this cardboard and you could use the longer side of the cardboard. You want to dip it in the paint, and then you could stamp longer lines. And then maybe this one, we could do the short end. And you can probably stamp 2 or 3 times before you have to re-dip in the paint. And you can put your lines anywhere you'd like. They can go over to the edge of your paper. They can stop. They can start in the center of your paper, wherever you would like. And you can stamp as many lines as you'd like or as few lines as you would like. It's completely up to you. So I'm going to stay with some vertical and horizontal. So vertical lines go up and down. And you can see this cardboard starting to get wet from the ink, from the paint, and so it's getting a little bit thicker. And not creating a super thin line, which is okay with me. Where one line ends, you could start a new line. And I just want you to stamp until you feel like you've filled your paper. You've created what you want to create. And this will be the first step, and this will be the first day. And then the next day, once this paint is dry, we'll come back with some new paint in the primary colors, and we'll color in some of these spaces. So I have a lot of big open spaces. I have a few small spaces, so I'm going to try to get some smaller spaces made before I say I'm finished. So I want to kind of have a balance of big rectangles, big squares, little squares. I like some of my lines going off the paper, but I also like these lines that just start on the paper. All right, and I think I'm pretty happy with that. And look, I got no paint on my hands. So if you're careful with with your shoulder partner, just always, when you're not using the cardboard, always lay it down with the clean edge along the edge of the paper plate. And then that'll make for easy cleanup, and we won't get paint on our hands. And then this will go on the drying rack, and we're just going to take our plate when our shoulder partner is finished, and we're just going to throw all of this away. Just very quick cleanup. So the cardboard, the paper plate, all of that goes in the trash, and this goes on the drying rack. And I'll come back once this is dry and show you how to add the primary colors. Hello, so now we are going to use the primary colors the way Mondrian did to fill in some of our squares and rectangles on our line printed paper. So you're going to get a paper plate that you're going to share with your shoulder partner with the 3 primary colors. Don't mix them up on purpose because your shoulder partner needs to use them as well. And then you're going to get a water basin, a paint tray, and some paper towels, because with liquid tempera paint, we want a dry paintbrush. So I won't take this paintbrush and dip it in the water the way I would do if I was using watercolor. I would just take this dry paintbrush, dip it in the paint, and paint it on. That way the paint stays this bright, vibrant color. If I have water in my paintbrush and I dip it in the paint's going to look more like watercolor. It's going to be a subtle color and not a bright, vibrant color like you see on the plate. And you can choose to paint these colors anywhere you want on your paper. You can paint just 3 boxes, one of each color. You can paint more than that. It's up to you. I want you to look at your paper and determine when you are finished. So start painting, maybe stop after all 3 colors you painted, take a look, see if you feel like that's enough. If you feel like you need to paint a little bit more, then go back and paint a little bit more. I would recommend using yellow first while it's nice and clean, just in case you or your shoulder partner accidentally don't rinse your paintbrush out completely. And that way you get a nice bright, vibrant yellow before it gets messed up with a messy paintbrush. So I'm going to paint a couple of boxes yellow. Try to stay inside your lines the best you can. I'm finished with my yellow, so I'm going to take my paintbrush, rinse it off. And then the way you dry a paintbrush off is you pull it across the paper towel. You don't push it. You don't take the paper towel and hold it over and yank your paintbrush out, because you loosen the bristles and then they'll come out of the paintbrush. You know your paintbrush is dry when hardly any water is coming out of it on the paper towel. Now when you touch it, it's going to feel wet, but it's never going to be completely dry. You just want to get almost all the water out that you can. Now you'll need to determine, do you want a lot of white paper and just a little bit of the primary colors, or do you want a lot of color and a little bit of the white? It's completely up to you. You're the artist. You're going to decide. I'm finished with the red, so I'm going to rinse my paintbrush off. I'm going to pull it across the paper towel to get most of the water out of it. So the paper towel's wet, I can flip it over and do this side of the paper towel. I can also open up the paper towel, turn it inside out, and do that. So with you and your shoulder partner, and get this pretty wet. So open up the paper towel, fold it in a different direction every time it gets too wet. All right, and this is how you'll finish your Mondrian line printed